Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another episode of V-MODA at Home with. And today we're here sitting with KAAZE. How you doing, KAAZE?
I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to ask the first question, who is KAAZE? When and how did you start out?
So, Case, my real name is Mick Kastenholt. I'm born and raised in Sweden, and I'll be doing this for a little bit more than I would say 14 years now. Started out as a little DJ in my bedroom, and producing a DJ came hand in hand. And I've been on a long journey with making music with people like Tiësto, Hardwell, Cashmere, and so on. And now I'm here
That's
speaking to you.
amazing.
Yeah.
When did you really come to that realization or that point to where you realized that making music could be more than just a passion and it could be your full-time job?
I mean, I still, it's a tough question because, there is a period of time where I still to this day just, making music as a passion. I don't really look at it that way, I guess. But, I would say I really started taking it serious when I realized that I was making a collaboration with a guy like Tiësto. I mean, that was my first collaboration in my life was with Tiësto, so that
Wow,
was a big moment, obviously. And then I got signed to Reveal Recordings, and that's kind of where things took off a little bit for the brand itself. I got introduced with Hardwell.
that's amazing. So, working with a guy like Tiesto, somebody who has had so many, so many hits before, and somebody that all of us really kind of look up to, at least those of us who produce club music and DJ, things like that. What was that initial feeling of collaborating with him? When did he hit you up? Did you hit him up? Was it a mutual sort of connection that happened? How did that all come about?
I mean, I gotta think for a moment because it was a while back, but I'm pretty sure I managed to grab his email somehow. I had no idea how I had it, but I was sending out songs from time to time, and there was this one song called Rocky, which was the collab that we did that caught his attention, and he wrote me back super randomly like, "Oh, I love this song," and. All of a sudden, everything went so fast, and I was living in Stockholm at that time. And he was like, "You know what? Do you live in Stockholm?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm gonna come to Stockholm in like a couple of weeks. We should hang out." And blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, I was, having a full day with him, eating dinner and go to clubs. And he invited me to this festival in Summerburst. And yeah, and I started to understand, that's how he does it. He becomes friends, and he feels the vibe with you, which was really professional. And then yeah, we became friends, and that's kind of how everything started. I feel like it was just a big blur, it's a big dream. I was so young, like what the hell's going on? As I said, it was my first collaboration. So I was
Yeah.
like constantly nervous. It was absolutely insane.
So on your road to that first collaboration was in music, was there sort of a turning point, or was it more of a sort of a gradual growth to success in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say gradual because as I said, sometimes I tell people that that you have to look at it there's two different ways of becoming successful DJ, and you see some artists they rise super fast. I come from the same generation as Hardwell, Avicii, and they all exploded way before me. And that's how it is sometimes. And then for some artists it takes longer time, which is fine too. Some people don't appreciate that it takes a long time, but the good thing about that is that when it's a slow process, that also gives you more opportunity to become more skilled and have way more experience. So once it's your turn and like it's your turn to shine, you have this huge backpack with experience. And that's kind of, I feel like that's what I've been going through.
Right. And you mentioned coming up in the same sort of era as Hardwell and Avicii. Is
Yeah.
is there a singular large influence that you had when it came to getting started in making music and DJing?
Yeah, I mean, I still was inspired by other genres, and I still am to this
Mm.
day. I grab all my influence, all my inspiration from all the other genres around the world. But my main kind of like what got me into EDM music and house music back then, what was I heard David Guetta music and Daft Punk and stuff. That was kind of my kickstart, where that caught my eyes, you know.
Those are all pretty big. And what sort of led you into the dance music genre that you're in now?
Hard to tell. I mean, Swedish DJs in general, I think, like that melodic progressive house has always been really big in Sweden.
Mm,
Um, so I think that's where it came from.
absolutely. If you weren't a musician, what would you be doing right now?
Well, I always say that I would be something in sport. I love playing golf and so on. But at the same time, I mean, I don't have the same skills in sports as I have in music. So, you know, if I was not a musician, I have no idea. Maybe I would be on the streets. I don't know. I mean, I dropped school to make music, so
Oh,
I
wow.
had no other choice.
So was that always something that you wanted to do since you were a child?
Yeah, I mean, my dad is a musician, so I grew
Ah,
up with music in the house. So as I said, I wanted to be a soccer pro and stuff when I was young,
mhm.
but music was always there. You know, it was always in home. I had piano and guitars and drums my whole life. So eventually, it just came to me. You know, like yeah, you know, I'm gonna do music like my dad.
Dude, that's so cool. I also come from a fairly musical family, so it's always fun to hear those stories where that heritage and knowing,
Yeah,
knowing that your parents did music and wanting to
yeah. I
get into
mean,
it.
my dad is his whole life has just been about music, but he wasn't. The cool thing was that he wasn't forcing me into it. You know, it was just there. You know, as I said, there was a when I was born, there was a grand piano in the house. You know,
Mm,
so naturally, I was just sitting on that piano every day. You know, so
so
I
cool.
think obviously that must be why I became a musician was because it's been my life technically since I was born.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So on along your musical journey, what's one of your most memorable moments to date?
Um, I mean, I've done crazy tours over the years. That's been, you know, that I would never forget. I have a couple. Like one cool thing um, that happened very early in my career was also together with Tiësto. Was his the song that we did together was on his album,
Mm,
and he was promoted as tribute at the Bellagio Fountain in Las Vegas, where they were gonna have this Tiësto tribute, you know. And then one of the songs that they're playing at the Bellagio Fountain is my collab with him. So
wow.
like every day, yeah, like 3 times a week, or 3 times a day or something, every day for years and years and years. Maybe it's still to this day. I don't know. But it's being played at the Bellagio Fountain. So you
That's
know, I used to walk up there and just sing my music, and I was completely nobody when my music was being played there. You know,
mm,
so that was a big moment. You know, like I was like it was a moment when I realized, okay, you know, I'm doing something right. You know, like my music's being played here. You know, and who am I?
yeah. That's gotta be such an amazing feeling to just
Uh,
walk around Vegas. And speaking to you earlier, you said that you actually lived in Vegas for a while. Was that because
yeah,
you had a residency out there?
yeah. No, I didn't have a residence, but I met my wife there. I got invited with Tiësto to be there. He was resident there, and then I met my wife, and I moved there. And that was also, as a career-wise, it was a really cool opportunity because that's how I became really cool friend with Hardwell, was because he came
Ah,
to his residency and I was there, and I just got signed to Reveal Recordings, and because I was there all the time, I had the opportunity to hang out with him a lot, you know, and party with him.
yeah.
So it was a cool network.
So really, not only did you make good connections, but you also found love at the
Yeah,
time. That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
I mean, it's not the city you normally find love to,
Yeah.
but my wife is not from Vegas, but she moved there as well.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah, it's a special town for me.
For sure. Yeah. So we live in an era where making music is really accessible now. Anybody can get a laptop for a couple $100. You can get a music program like Fruity Loops or Ableton. And today's kids and teenagers really have access to these tools, which were, exclusive to guys like us even just a few years ago. How do you feel like that accessibility has affected what you do today? Has it affected the craft in your opinion in any way?
Yeah, I mean, if I compare to when I started, when there was nothing, you know, I remember like my first kind of sample packs that I got a hold on was on a CD, and then you had to load it into your computer. And it was like it was a super task to deal with just to get some samples, you know. So you didn't have those tools, no tutorials, or nothing, you know. But one thing I've noticed is that obviously it is the main thing is benefits, you know, when it comes to, you know, you can go on splice.com and stuff and get amazing tools and your process. And I see all these kids, you know, they are so much more talented than I was at that stage, you know, like it goes way faster. The only thing that I feel like kids have to think about is to be creative though, because, you know, you have access to all these tools, you know, but sometimes you need to figure out what to do with it. The good thing from my generation was that since you didn't have any tools, you had to be creative with what you had, you know. And by that, sometimes you came up with very original stuff, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of what sometimes I tell the kids that you have to think about, you know, just because you have access to all this stuff, you know, don't copy paste and don't take too much inspiration from other people. Like be creative with what they give you.
For sure.
I feel that's where it is right now.
Absolutely. Do you remember your first setup? What was your sort of first home studio setup like?
Well, to be really honest, my setup is not that far away from how it is now. Like today, I work a lot on laptop because I used to travel a lot. Okay, not last year, but despite COVID, I used to travel a lot. So I'm very used to working on my computer and make everything on the road. And then I go home. But yeah, I'm a simple guy, you know. All I need is those speakers and yeah, and I'm good to go.
You're ready to
And a
go.
decent food, you know.
So without giving away too many of your trade secrets, you have any soft synths that or plugins that are kind of your really go-to and you find yourself grabbing for those a lot?
Yeah, I mean, right now Serum is in general a very popular plugin.
Yeah.
And I've started, since I'm going for a kind of a new sound where I'm going a little bit more synthy, a little bit more retro sounding. I find Serum a really cool tool to use because it's very relatable to that. Other than that, I've always been a lot into Nexus because I've always been making melodic progressive house. And I mean, Swedish DJs in general, we've always reached for Aspire and Silent and Nexus and those type of tools. Yeah, I would say Nexus in general is something it's always in my music.
Absolutely. Nexus and Serum have really taken over as some really
Yeah,
usable and incredible tools. I think
really
Serum as a wavetable synth is absolutely incredible.
absolutely insane. And I mean, Nexus also, I mean, Nexus, you know, you take Nexus for granted so easy because it's a sample pack, a sample bank, but the quality that Nexus has become over the years with the new upgrade and stuff, it's amazing, you know.
Yeah, it's I think the fact that they're now combining sort of the sampling and modeling technology together
Right.
to get this really expressive sound out of those programs is really incredible.
Yeah.
So I got to ask this obligatory question. How has this past year gone for you? And you mentioned, you know, you've been at home and you haven't been able to travel as much. Have you been able to kind of work through that, make more music? How has that gone for you?
It's also like, I mean, yeah, I technically I've made more music, uh, but at the same time, one thing I noticed, first I was like, okay, cool, you know, I can really put 100% focus on just making cool stuff. One thing I noticed later on was, you know what? I've never noticed it, but I am so dependent on the crowd because I am one of those DJs. I love to play my stuff out before I drop it, right? Not because the way I wanted to know how it sounds, because yeah, I trust my speakers, I trust my studio. But one thing I'm missing is the reaction, you know, like not just the reaction of how it sounds, but like the reaction on, you know, like let's say the arrangement of your song, you know, because if you have the right arrangement, you're gonna get an insane reaction in the clubs. And that is kind of a gamble right now. When I noticed, I was like making music, I was like, is this the right arrangement for this song? You know, I wish I could, you know, like all I have is my family to show, you know, so I'm kind of missing that part, you know, to, you know, play it out and get the reaction and then do some few edits before you drop the song.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people don't really consider. I mean, people who don't make music or just are a fan of the art
Yeah,
form, they don't realize how much sort of energy dependent that
You
guys
know,
like us are. So
and I mean, in the end, EDM music, it's always gonna start in the club. It's always gonna start there, and if it becomes popular there, that's when it gets out to the radios and stuff. So I just noticed that we've been taking touring and stuff so for granted.
mm,
DJs, we travel all the time, every week, the whole year, and not understanding how important that actually was. So yeah, trust me, like when I get my first show back, I'm gonna be like a little child.
absolutely, with all those people, it's going to be it's almost like we're all restarting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a good thing. I look at it positive because I feel it's gonna be kind of a catch-up effect on it. That once we can go back to shows and open up clubs, I feel like it's gonna be such a massive impact on it. So I'm very positive on it.
Yeah. Have you taken to any of these sort of live streaming trends or anything like that that have been going on the internet lately?
Yeah, I did. Not too much. I did a live stream with the label with Reveal Recordings, uh, and then I haven't had that much time. I mean, I live in south of Sweden right now, which is it's very limited on stuff like that.
Oh,
I was actually supposed to move to Amsterdam with my wife last year, but then everything got shut down with COVID, so we had to postpone it. But I mean, if I was more in places like Amsterdam stuff where I had more access, like I see a lot of my DJ friends, they've done a lot of live streams because there's like companies that like straight away dedicated themselves to do those things for DJs, and I don't really have those tools here. So, I'm trying to really put stuff together now to do like a DJ show because I still want to do it nice. I don't want to put it up in my living room and just like record. I want to do it nice.
right.
So, I have to work a little harder for it here.
I hear that.
Yeah.
So you said that you were planning on moving
Yeah.
about a year ago. Are you still considering that in 2021? What are your plans for 2021?
Well, yeah, so, I mean, I'm making plans, but you can't make too much. I mean, because we don't know. But yeah, we still want to move. We are moving. I just don't know when. And in the meantime, I'm just like, luckily, I have made all this music, so I have a great schedule and great strategy plan with the label. So I'm gonna focus on that and just drop some great music, and then fingers crossed that things opens up for all of us.
Yeah, right. That's great.
Yeah.
When are you looking to sort of release? When should people be looking out for sort of a timeline of when they should be expecting new
Well,
music?
some of my hardcore fans already know this, but I'm actually gonna drop like more or less every 6 weeks. I'm gonna drop a new single, and I already
Oh,
released one. Yeah, I released one by the end of January, and then next one is coming now in March. And then I'm just gonna keep going till one big thing that I'm not gonna talk too much about. But
anything else that you'd like to say to the people?
well, no, cliche as always. I love them. I love my fans, and as I said, things are tough right now, but like because of the fans and everybody listening, that they are the ones that keep us going. Because as I said, it's been really tough for everybody. So
Man,
I'm really grateful just to be able to still survive as an artist.
that's such a beautiful story to hear, that we as a species around the world just continue to thrive, and it's really great to see you keep on during.
I mean, I'm just curious to see what we're gonna say once this whole COVID history is over. Like, what are we gonna say when we look back at it? Like, I'm very curious.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
same.
a crazy time.
It's gonna be such
I
a
mean, we're living in history right now. You know.
literally.
Yep.
That's
Sure.
amazing. Well, thank you so much, KAAZE, for joining us
Thank
for
you.
the V-MODA at Home series. So much appreciation for you, and just thank you so much for what you've done for DJ culture to this point. And
Thank you. And
we're
thank you,
really
people. I
excited.
mean, you guys are making amazing stuff, and I'm always proud to wear some V-MODA stuff. Of
Thank you, sir.
course.
So we're really excited for your new music to drop and
Yeah.
for that new sound. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. This was At Home with KAAZE. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.